Just a second. Okay. The first date was with Dean. What a nice guy he is. Even if he is a little young, he is a lot more mature than Lee. I don't even know how old Lee is, and I don't really care. So anyway, what I loved about Dean's date, first of all, was the Jeep he was driving. That looked awesome. And the turtles were very cute. South Carolina has alligators. I didn't know this. I suppose because they are pretty close to Florida, maybe they get some of them swimming through the moats, the sewers, whatever, wherever, no, bogs. That's it. Okay. Anyway, I don't know how the alligators or crocodiles get up to South Carolina, and I don't care. I wouldn't want to be staying near any. But the picnic out there in the, to me it looked like a bog, and the only thing I would think of is, are there alligators just, wandering around? So I'm glad that they were actually up. Weren't they on their Jeep, on the hood of the Jeep, having the picnic? That could be why. The blimp ride, he was kind of acting like it was a hot air balloon ride, how afraid he was, but, you can't make fun of people who are afraid of things because sometimes people can't help it. But I noticed on this show that they believe everybody needs to fight through their fears and become courageous, like in one episode. But this was the case with Dean, and I'm glad he had fun. That did look cool. I never knew that that's how a blimp was constructed, where you'd have the seats at in the bottom like a plane, seats in a plane. So anyway, there was a commercial in between the blimp ride and the rest of the blimp ride, and it was the Haribo gummy candy commercial, and that one is so cute, and I love it. So the one thing Rachel does to Dean is she promises she's going to hold his hand the whole time, and the next thing we know, she's left him behind in his seat and she's climbing into the cockpit. But I'm glad that he came up right behind her, and I'm glad that he had so much fun piloting it. That was awesome. The evening dinner, one thing I noticed is they don't show the huge bugs that are in the south flying about. Those things are like, I know, because I lived in Nashville and they were huge and disgusting. So I guess that might be why they don't show us all that, because they don't want to disgust everybody. I felt really bad for Dean telling his story about his mom. Man, you could just see how hard he was trying to hold it together. And I do think he would be great for her because of what she said, that he has the ability to work through some really hard circumstances and become a better person. And so I'm all for it, in case Rachel wants my opinion. The group date. The boat date was kind of boring, I thought. All those little games, I mean, it could have been more meaningful, like on Married at First Sight, that show that I really like. Like they're given questions to ask each other, from the psychologists and things. And that would have been more meaningful, I think, getting to know these guys a little bit better rather than rapping and dancing and push-ups and, the spelling bee was interesting. Josiah, although he did win, is way too full of himself and egotistical, and he makes me sick. And making out with the trophy was a little weird. And then there was a commercial for a Pepsi, and I thought, I haven't had a Coke in a long time. And sometimes you just want a soda in a glass with a whole bunch of ice. And anyway, it wasn't for Coca-Cola, it was for Pepsi, and hot Pepsi. I don't get it. Is it spicy, or do they want you to boil it? I don't know. It was kind of funny when Josiah was drying the champagne off his pants. That was kind of funny. And Josiah is right. I'll give him that. Eric is justified for how upset he was getting. And he really does speak from the heart, and he speaks the truth, and he doesn't mess around with all this fluff and nonsense. He just says it, and I really like Eric for that. Lee is bad. Just because he doesn't... Oh yeah, he said he doesn't come here to make friends, but that doesn't give him the right to make enemies. Purposely make enemies. I mean, he's just an arse. Oh yeah, and then not only does Lee interrupt Kenny twice... Excuse me, I just had my oatmeal. Even though he interrupts Kenny twice talking to Rachel, not only that, he has the nerve to stand right there while they're talking. And how Rachel can't see that that's really disrespectful, and that could be part of Lee's personality and a major flaw. Apparently, at the rose ceremony, she hasn't gotten it because he's still there. Anyway, and Dean's right that Lee is a, bitch. And I don't want to say that word because a lot of people on my channel are kids. But anyway, that's what he said, and I kind of agree. And whoever it was that was trying to figure out if it was quarks or quirks. Oh, man. That was funny. Like somebody has a quirky personality. It's not quirky. That's not a word. Okay. So many great guys in the house, and I really feel that there's so many that are genuine and respectful, and they have integrity. At least they appear to be that way. And Lee is awful when Kenny tries to talk to him, and he's saying, get to it, and all this stuff. And Kenny tries to talk to him, and Kenny's right. He's saying the truth over and over again. He's asking the same question over and over again because Lee is trying to maneuver the conversation and dismantle whatever Kenny is thinking, feeling, trying to say. And I wonder if Lee isn't racist because of how he's picking on the African Americans, but he's buddying up to the white guys. Could be. Anyway, Kenny's right in sticking to what he knows about the guy, no matter how much he tries to get out of it or deny it. Kenny knows the facts and the truth, and that's what you keep saying over and over again, no matter what. And Lee's... he says one way to piss someone off is to laugh at them. Wow. Well, I'm glad he has the insight on how to make people mad at him, because he's really good at it. Rachel gets really upset and overwhelmed, and she doesn't know what to do and stuff. It's like, dang it, just get to the bottom of it. Talk to every single guy there. Ask every single guy the same question. Who is at the root of all the problems? And then if you've got 24 out of 25 guys saying Lee, and you trust some of those guys that said Lee, then maybe you can get rid of Lee. But to just say I'm overwhelmed and I'm going to cry, it doesn't solve the problem. People confuse getting mixed up with drama and trying to find out what exactly is going on. That's what I'm saying. I mean, most of the guys there know what the problem is. Lee doesn't, but that's because he's the problem. Anyway, and then why is Lee smiling at the rose ceremony? I mean, that would creep me out. And why doesn't Rachel see him smiling and talking to himself? And I was really wishing that one of the guys that left last night would have whispered in her ear, "Be careful of Lee." And maybe one of them did. Maybe we'll find out, since it's to be continued. I have to talk quickly because my camera is about to run out of juice. Iggy blew it by ratting on Josiah, which was a low blow. And he lied. Rachel didn't ask him to rat on anyone. Josiah's right. Give me an example. But Iggy doesn't have one. Lee is such a liar, telling her about Kenny like he was screaming and threatening. And I'm so glad she's going to talk to Kenny about Lee. To be continued. Okay, that's all I got. And have a great day, but if you're too hot, your power goes out or whatever, fill up the tub. It's a pretend pool, trust me. And you can get in it as often as you want. You can every hour if you want. It's your tub. That or head to the beach. And stay hydrated, please, for next week, because there's 2 shows on Monday and Tuesday for the Bachelorette. So finally they're going to make it up to us. All right. Until next week. Bye.